All right, everyone, let's first just test sound here, see how that works. All right, that was fine, and then let's just go. Boom. Waiting for the stream delay. Awesome. Okay. So everything looks good. Just finishing setting everything up here. So again, if you guys are new here, thanks for coming. Essentially what we do here is once a week, just go live. So the same kind of analysis that I do for trading when it comes to swing trading and doing all of that within the markets. I like to do that. Let's turn, I see I'm clipping a little bit here. 1 second. That one, audio mixer. Turn that down just a little bit. So you guys may need to adjust your sound up, but I have a little bar that I need to keep in the yellow area. Yeah, so we just go live and talk about everything that happened in the markets last week, everything that's going on, things that I'm kind of expecting for next week. Look at the crypto, FX, and equity markets. Just do all that analysis, come up with kind of a basic game plan for what we think might happen into next week. And then from there, we scan for stocks to add to the list that is available over on my website. It's Stats Edge Trading for the pro members there. As well as the, everything that we see here gets kind of distilled down into a nice little, easy to deal with blog post every night. So again, this is kind of a way to look at what you would get as an output every night if you were a Stats Edge Pro member. And if you are, that's great. It's one of the things I'm doing here in the background is I'm actually opening up our Discord. So, if you see anything that you want to chat about there, you certainly can. But that being said, let's just get right into it. I think that's right. So then if I just click that button, there we go. Okay, let's shrink me a bit. A little too obnoxiously large. There we go. Boom, just like that. And then I need to make sure I can see chat. So let's actually just pop that. Kablam. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, let's, usually I start with going over the videos last week, but I kind of just took a week off, videos entirely. It was a shortened week, lower volume. I'd been kind of warning up and down throughout. It's not the week to kind of swing for the fences. And we saw a lot of that with, seemingly low amounts and insignificant amounts of moves, news kind of pushing around the market, which we'll talk about when we get into it. But, so for that, I'm going to just get right into the crypto space and what I've got going on there and what I think about that. So Bitcoin, actually it's this one. I think that one's annotated. So I'd been kind of harping on about a short here for, there we go. Just get this out of the way so I can see everything. There. Yeah, so I'd been talking about a short that I was stalking on Bitcoin for a long time, and then a short that I actually took, which was basically just looking at this kind of ascending triangle right here, looking for a breakdown of that, because while that was going on, we were having this negative RSI divergence, right? So again, RSI divergence just shows kind of a slowing of momentum. So instead of shorting as the thing's ripping, I like to use the divergence as an indicator of, hey, this is something I should watch just to see what's going on, and then look for a kind of a price pattern to take. So I shorted some in through here, and then I covered some when we got, the first kind of rundown, and now I've just been holding it ever since. So the game plan, as long as we're continuing to downtrend like this, I will be short until something shows else. So I'm just going to put near term trend still down. So again, the reason I write all this on the charts is because this is kind of what gets pushed over to the Stats Edge Pro members, which again, I'll show you guys more about that in a bit, but just to kind of put everything into a nice, neat little package for that. And then, so Bitcoin's down a little bit still. Ethereum is down a little bit still. So I'm still watching, right? I have the note here that I think is still valid, which is Ethereum still seems to be king. Where Bitcoin really had a breakdown there, Ethereum is actually still kind of holding in this resistance zone fairly well. And I'm glad to see it. One of the things that I'm happy a lot about when it comes to my crypto trading is that they are starting to become completely uncorrelated, right? Where before you would get a move in Bitcoin and all the other cryptos would move with it. And you'd get a short Bitcoin and all of them would push down. But now we're getting this kind of market where they kind of trade more like stocks, where even when the market's tanking, there's still stuff that's doing really, really well, and vice versa, right? So this RARI, again, no idea what most of these are, but looked good over 20. I had a note there for a couple weeks to watch over 20, and I took some, and it's moving pretty good now. It's a 45% return today. That can't be, I guess so, yeah. So I get triggered in a lot of these with stop limits, so I don't even know that I'm in them until I take a look at them as well. Do I track Ether versus Sol? No. Again, the way I'm looking at the crypto market now is more of just that they're like stocks, so I just treat them the same as stocks. I have this list in TrendSpider, and just FYI, in the description, if I did it right, of the video, so right below, there's a website for my trading tools. That will take you to Trade Ideas and TrendSpider, which both we'll use today. If you haven't already, they both have Black Friday sales on. So if you're at all thinking about either of them, now's the time to go and pull the trigger on that. But so no, I just treat them all like stocks. What I do, and the reason I look at Bitcoin first is because just kind of the way I'm looking at it is that Bitcoin is like, the same way you would look at stocks in relationship to how the SPY is doing. I look at cryptos in relationship to how Bitcoin's doing. I kind of think that Bitcoin's the index or the core of all of it, and then everything else is just kind of around that, because if it was no Bitcoin, there would be no crypto kind of thing. However, I don't really look too closely at super comparisons of them. Again, I just trade them like anything else, right? I wait for setups, and if a setup occurs, we go from there. Like this sand is going to be my miss probably of the year, right? I was watching it kind of coil up and looking for it over this base, and I just didn't have an order out, and right from 77 cents to $7. Which is why I'm not super keen on buying just like all in on Bitcoin, because the way I look at Bitcoin is that, say Bitcoin gets that $100,000 mark that everybody is, super pumped about. Well, that's a double, right? And of course, you should never just like look down on, it's only a double. But we had a trade this week that I mentioned in the room on this engine, ENG. Again, don't know what it is, but I bought some right here at 330 and then scalped out a big chunk at, I think at 450. Yeah, it was about 450 that I got out most. And it came back down here to 330 again. And then same thing. I reloaded some of this ENG this morning. And, if we get under this base, that's where I'm wrong. But so, why focus just on Bitcoin when the other ones are doing, as cool stuff from a percentage gain as anything else, right? To match the return of some of these other cryptos, Bitcoin would have to go to like 1 million in short order, right? So, hey Sam, how's it going? Hey Usman. Lots of mics. Jeez, there's a lot of us. Dude, I'm in 3D. Yeah, the camera, and again, it's just I bought a $50 program for my iPhone. I've got the Max, Ultra, whatever the hell, but yeah, it's just my iPhone camera. It's better than the camera I have one as well. Are you using standard R for each trade or less? No, I'm using a standard. So I have my normal stock account, right? For people who don't know what Mike's talking about, it's something I preach, trading in R's, which you take whatever the value of the account you're trading is. Say it's, I don't know, 10 grand because it's Sunday. It makes the math easy. And you go, okay, I'm going to risk 2% of the value of my account on any given trade. And, you can check out the free trading course on my website right up there. I talk all about that. And again, that's 100% free. You don't need to sign up. You don't even need to put in an email address or anything. It's just on YouTube. But yeah, and the reason you do that is that your dollar amount that you're risking is constantly the same. And then as your account grows, that R grows as well. So it's a way to use compounding with your trading. So, I'm not using the same dollar amount in my crypto trading as I am in my equity trading because my equity account's much, much larger than my crypto account. But I do the same thing where I'm risking about 1 to 2% of the value of that account on any given trade. And that's how I size up with it when I can. Some of these coins Kraken allows leverage on, and some of them they don't. And that's who I use as an exchange. So, sometimes it's less, but it's only less because, I don't want to throw my entire account into one of these coins. So I'll just say, okay, I'm going to buy it at 2 and I'll get stopped out at $1.50 if it goes down. And then I do that math and then we go from there as well. So that's just how I do it. And you guys know that I have been harping on you for months now. Like, if you don't trade crypto, open up a crypto account. You can do it with like $100 and just start. Because again, I think the whole equity market eventually will be 24 hours. I think this whole cryptos trading as kind of like their equities is just going to expand as well. So just, dip your foot in, right? And again, the point, like, if technical analysis works, it works on damn near everything. And if technical analysis doesn't work, then it doesn't work on anything, right? And, we know that technical analysis works because trends persist longer than they should, which is why I'm always a proponent of trend trading as opposed to counter trend trading. So again, just, treat them as is, right? So just some questions. So do I use a stop order? Yeah. One thing I love about Kraken is that you can say, let's see if there's a trade for an example. Algo is actually something I'm interested in. And I've noted this. I'm going to move this note over because there is some real strength in this compared to Bitcoin that's breaking down. So for Algo, a trade that I'm looking at would be something like this, right? So 187, I would probably get in, and then the stops say 157, and then I'd see if we could make new highs, right? See if we could get to, maybe say a little under $3. This is a tool that I just started playing with in TrendSpider that I really like, where you can kind of draw out, right? So I can see that it's a 3.5 R trade, which is great. So yeah, with Kraken, I can say, okay, put in a stop limit to enter if we get over, say, 187, to make sure that I don't get, scared in if a big move happens and get a bad price. But then I can say, if that gets triggered, then put in a stop loss. Now, for me, generally speaking, what I'll do with crypto is that if I am at my desk and ready to trade, I generally don't leave stops in the market, just because you get some flash crashes and things like that. But I'll set alerts. But for sure, whenever I'm away from the computer and going to bed or whatever, I'll make sure that there's stop orders in place. But so that's kind of how I do it anyway. And it's because, again, I don't want to, it's a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, 365-day a year market, right? I don't want to have to sit in front of my computer every day, right? It's one of those things that I trade primarily. One of the main things for me is freedom, right? So I'm just filling that trade out on the spreadsheet for the pro members. But I want to automate the entry and exit as much as possible so that I can focus on where I think humans do the best work, which is in the analysis and study and all of that. So basically what I do is I sort this by percentage gain, as just a way to make sure that I don't need to scan stuff that day if it's down like 10%, because I know the way I trade, I'm not going to be buying something that's down 10%. Solana is kind of interesting here, and I'm actually probably going to make a note to tweet that out. Someone had mentioned Solana, and if you take an anchored VWAP from this all-time highs, we are right at that now. So that's something that I'm just kind of watching as hey, this anchored VWAP seems to be of some importance, but I won't buy it until it makes, some sort of move off that. Then another question, what indicators do I use for crypto? I'm not an indicator guy. I just don't think that there's any real power in them. And that's just because, if there was an indicator that, hey, you can use this indicator, make a bunch of money, and no one would ever tell you about it. And then it would get automated away, right? So I'm more of a observe price action from kind of a macro level, and that's going to tell you everything that you need. So, like, for example, this is the kind of work that I do where Matic, right, this kind of 165, this blue or this zone, and again, the Stats Edge Pro guys in the room will tell you, this is how I do a lot of my support resistance drawing, where I know this area seems to be important for Matic. So if we can get and hold above that area, that's interesting. And then if not, I don't really think that that's too interesting. This Atom never was able to get it going. I got a couple nice little scalps out of it, but really nothing, worth my time, to be honest. And then I'm not going to scan through the really bad ones. So again, just to summarize crypto, there's no reason to be bullish Bitcoin right here. In all intensive purposes, this was a failed breakout. Everybody was watching this level. We had a failed breakout once and a failed breakout twice. So in my mind, this trade now becomes pretty easy, which is if you're over this kind of, call it 65,000 area, then I think you can be long over 65,000. If you're under 65,000, I just don't see any reason for you to be long, right? Unless a lot of price action kind of occurs and sets up some sort of pattern. But again, this is all failed breakout territory for me until proven otherwise. After Bitcoin and crypto, I always like to take a look at the different currencies. So this USD JPY flag I was talking about for a while. I got a really good entry at 113 and then got out some around 115. And then this happened on Friday. So that kind of negates the pattern. So really nothing to see there. Another one that I always look at as Canadian is the Canadian dollar trend. So we took a trade on this one at 124. It's up now to 127, kind of in a straight line. So I'm going to remove this and I'm going to move this up. And then just note this overhead resistance. Right. And part of the reason that I like to do this, because I just like chatting with you guys, and if I'm going to do the work anyway, might as well stream it at least once a week. Again, I do this every day for the Stats Edge Pro guys, but it's to show how simple I look at everything. And like, it doesn't, there's a plight of overcomplication, I think, when it comes to trading, right? Find stuff that's going up, find a way that's in it to get into it, and then kind of leave it from there, right? So I don't really, right? So we have overhead resistance, we're long. I'm never not just going to short it just because it's running into this area. But when you're long something, you have to note that, hey, this is an area that could cause us some problems. So maybe get ready to take some profits in this area, maybe push up some stops and see, because we won't know if it actually is resistance until later. And then let's take a look at the pound. And that's, I think I'm still short. Yeah, it's the euro that I covered, and I'm still in some of the pound short. And it was just this kind of anchored VWAP lower lows, and there was just a lot of resistance up in this area. So I was short off of that. But again, I don't think there's anything really to do there. So yeah, it was the euro that I took the same kind of trade in. So I shorted the euro right here, and then I got out as a morning star setup. So it just means, right, couple candles down and then some sort of doji star setup, and then a push up was just a place for profit taking. But really nothing to see there. And all of that dovetails into, I'm sure, what people are actually wondering about, which is this massive drop on Friday in the markets, which I have a whole rant I'm sure I'll get into. But hold on, let me just make sure I'm just clearing out. Move to trash. Just because as I go, I take screenshots of those animated charts, and then I just need to put them in a folder so that they're nice and organized, so that when I'm done here, I can get the Stats Edge Pro members their analysis for the week. So, so what happened on Friday? So this is something that I was talking about in the room. There was a little bit of debate about, some little bit of pushback, but it turned out that I was just spot on where, I mentioned that when you have these low volume periods, which last week definitely was, regardless of what the volume numbers say, what happens is that people take vacations. Especially, right, you get a long weekend and then you get a half day on a Friday after Thursday was off. If you think about it, if you're, a mutual fund manager, a hedge fund manager, or whatever, there's just gonna be way less activity going on because there's just less people in the office, right? When that occurs and there's less activity going on, it is way easier to have the market pushed around on news that may be considered less than significant than before, right? And this is all, not making this is all known stuff, right? I'm not reinventing the wheel here. So I think that's what happened, right? They had a new variant discovered that infected all of 100 people, and the reporting, let's see if I read today. I don't trade off of news, but, like anyone else, I get curious. The reporting is that all cases so far of Omicron or whatever are very mild. Now, everybody's back next week, so this is going to be an interesting week for sure, as kind of Mike noted at the beginning of the stream there. I think that we may, just before I do any of my analysis, just kind of my feeling as a shot in the dark, that might have been the best buying opportunity from now until the end of the year. Everyone was freaking out, just, hey, there's this new variant. But what happens is when there's less trading, there's less people to take the other side of news like that. So when people come back to work on Monday, I think there's much more of an opportunity that they say, oh, the market got a little bit wacky here, let's buy it back up. Wouldn't be shocked, right? We get futures opening in 3 hours, 2.5 hours. So that will be interesting. Now, from a technical point of view, right, there was some damage done. We erased, a few days of action. Anybody who you're seeing on Twitter right now who's, oh, everyone has to run, this is the end of the world stuff, those are people that you kind of block immediately. Just because it was a slight downtick. That was all it was. Over. Right. So the way I'm looking at it is we have these, again, I just have, these shaded zones on my chart, just so you guys know. These are areas that I think are support and resistance, right? You never just draw a line. That doesn't make any sense, right? Market never stops and moves on a dime. It's always areas. So the way I look at it is this prior high is basically what we need to watch. If we come back down and hold that and push higher, then that's just a healthy pullback action. If we move higher from here, it means they weren't even able to go and retest the prior highs, and that's even more bullish. So, my note, still over prior highs equals bullish. So until this kind of breaks down, I'm going to treat this as more bullish action. Now we go into the RSP. Again, if you don't know what the RSP is, let's just remove all. Let's start again here. The RSP is an equal weighted index. So where the SPY is cap weighted, which just means, more allocation is given to more heavily weighted cap stocks. This is equal weighted. So this is a more representation of what the market actually does. So is the stop at the bottom of the area. I don't have a stop in the SPY. I don't have a trade in the SPY. And every trade will have an individual stop, but I just mean I am still bullish on the market until that area gets broken. So in the RSP, it's a little bit more dicey, right? Where if we take that same prior high, which is resistance here, so let's just note this, resistance is here, and then support is right there, right? And then we're at that level right there. So this area is very important to hold. Not the SPY, other trades. I use it sometimes. Well, yeah, if putting a stop under support makes perfect sense, but of course that's going to be all part of the trading plan for that particular setup and all of that. Something that is written down in advance of why you're taking something in a certain area and where you're going to put your stop and all that. RSP is interesting. So basically when the RSP is weaker than the SPY, it basically means that big tech is helping to hold the SPY up. And when the RSP is stronger than the SPY, it means, right, that big tech is underperforming. So in this case, we got hit a little bit harder on the RSP, but again, you can see the importance of this level. So, what I'm watching for next week is how do we do at this level? Right? If we bounce from this level, that's bullish. If we tank from that level, I'm obviously going to be a little bit more nervous, but as long as we continue to chop around here, that's fine. If we break, kind of the next area I'm looking at would be down here. So we would have a little ways to drop there. Now, as we go down the cap scale, which basically just means this index is the MDY, and the MDY is your mid caps. So $2 to $10 billion market cap, as opposed to, the big caps, which are 10 billion plus. It's the same thing, right? So same important zone, right? Where this area needs to be held, and it needs to be held fairly soon, right? Or we're going to get some sort of shenanigans, and it may just look like, right? Remember Evergrande, right? When everyone thought this was the end of days, and then it ended up just pulling us back 5%, and then we ripped. Again, it's one of those things that I think you'd be insane to bet that this was the top, because the same people that are betting that was the top probably said that was the top, and probably said that one was the top, and probably said that one was the top, right? Zoom out to always give yourself perspective. This is objectively a strong uptrend, right? Anyone who says that the overall, the SPY has not been in a strong uptrend all year is some sort of delusional confirmation bias kind of thing is going on there, because you can't deny it. So I'm not gonna kind of bet against it. Now, where damage was really done, in my opinion, is the IWM here. And I can't remember what my exact note was, but again, I put this in the member section a while ago, where it was a tweet from somebody on Twitter, a fellow CMT, who said the cruelest fate for the IWM, which this is our small caps, is that if we spent all year in this range, and then we broke out of this range, and then we came back and spent all year in this range, right? So if we're out of the range and we come back in and we're going to spend the rest of the year in this range, then so be it. But this was definitely the biggest damage done, right? So this is what we have to kind of note is just most damage done. Back in the range. Frowny face. So this is a range. I think I've probably posted this chart 100 times since I started doing stats edge trading, and ever since I started this is in a range and it sucks. So so far we're just back in the range. So one thing we got to look at is this anchored VWAP from these recent lows right here. That's been holding as support. Maybe it does again. But really, right, just look at these two gray lines. When we're in these two gray lines, think range-bound market. If we get under this one, think bearish market. If we get over this one, think bullish market. So again, I just think we're going to be kind of back in the range. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about was, actually, let me do this over here. I have asked desperately for both TrendSpider and Trade Ideas to get into this compare count game so I can stop having so many different charting platforms. So IWN versus IWO. So this is small cap growth versus value. And you can see it just kind of chopping around here. But what I wanted to look at was large cap. Oh, wait, I have it here. ILGC, ILCG divided by ILCV. Right, so this chart represents large cap growth versus value, right? So again, if you're thinking growth, I need to get my fat head out of there, don't I? Oop, there. So yeah, if you're thinking growth, think of companies that don't make money, but people are buying them, expecting them to make money and grow in the future, right? Tesla type of thing, right? Things that aren't printing out a bunch of cash right now, but their plate is growth phase. And then for value, think of the opposite. Think of something like Macy's, in which it's, no one expects Macy's to grow year over year over year. But it's a nice value play because they make money over time and all that. It looks to me like this is going to continue higher, right? This growth versus value type of move, which basically just means growth is probably going to get hammered and then value is going to outperform. So let's summarize quickly what I'm seeing about the market so far. So large caps doing the best along the cap scale. Value names doing better in the growth versus value side of things. Right? The market, definitely anyone who's saying this is the end, run for the hills, is someone that's not your friend or has some confirmation bias they're dealing with. Do I see anything there? Oh, it's XLP. Oh, okay, so that is interesting. And then looking at this, which is just a chart of all of the different sectors of the S&P 500 to figure out which ones are doing well and which ones are doing poorly. You can see the top two last week were XLU, which is utilities, and XLP, which is consumer staples. I'm just going to make a note here. I just want to look at those. XLU and then XLP. And those are both defensive names, right? So people are actually kind of getting a bit defensive, but again, larger caps doing better than smaller caps and value doing better than growth. Both of that to me, both of that to me kind of signifies that that's where we should be looking, right? We should, some of my scans, I'll transition to larger type names, but basically what I'm going to do is almost clear off my watch list and then just start to put in larger cap, slower, boring names, because right now it seems like that's where the market is drifting towards until the IWM gets back over here, and then we can start playing a little bit more of a fun name. So just question, what time frame do I use for swing trading? Again, it's going to be whatever you've got in your written trading plan. Again, I always put this caveat: if you don't have a written trading plan, you're gambling. The money will take your market at some point. Just send it to me instead, and I'll have more fun with it. All of my setups for swing trading on my plan are all on daily charts. And so I really, for swing trading, don't look at anything lower or, I sometimes will look at weekly charts. It's something that I'm actually doing more and more because it just smooths out moves a little bit. But for me, I like the daily chart just because I want to see what's happening each and every day, because with swing trading, and especially as people will know in the Stats Edge trading room, we do all of our work in the last hour of the day, right? We kind of fart around and look for stocks and stuff during the day. And then from that 3 to 4 period, it's like, okay, it's time to get to work. Let's check out all of our trades, see how they were doing, and then, look for the new stuff kind of thing. So for me, it's daily chart. But again, I know people who use tons of different time frames. I know people who use, something like 30-minute candles and zoom out. And it's really a kind of a personal preference type of a thing. So I wanted to look at XLU. So let's look at that. So that was outperformance, but that still looks like junk. And then let's go into XLP. And that kind of looks like crap as well. So none of these look great, to be honest, which is to be expected. And then XLF and XLE both broke down. So really, I think if I had to summarize my thoughts on the market, which I guess is what I do before I go through and go to the next thing, is that we're in a wait and see mode. Right? Oh, Powell. Old Powell. right? Is he just going to say, oh yeah, don't worry, I'll turn on the printer and then we're going to rally to new highs? Maybe. I just don't think it's a good time to take action going right into Monday. So for me, I think Monday, and I always want to make notes. Wait day. I think Monday is going to be a big wait and see day, right? We need to see, like, is fear still in the market? Like, now that, again, everyone goes new variant, oh God, and tanks the market. Well, the question is, and you listen to anyone, I've got a bunch of people that I know and trust that work on COVID stuff, that are basically scientists. And they're like, listen, anyone who's scared is an asshole and is not your friend. And anybody who is dismissive is an asshole and not your friend. It's like, we don't know anything. But basically the reporting coming out now is saying that every so far observable patient with this new variant is showing incredibly mild symptoms. So, if we get more news like that coming into Monday, maybe all this gets reversed. If it turns out bad, maybe it tanks. But again, you guys know I don't care about news. Either way, you're going to see that on the chart itself. So I think Monday, again, is going to be a wait and see. Again, if I was a betting man, I'd say they probably flush you down on the open. And then use that as a buying opportunity to rally the way we go. So on Monday, am I gonna look at the VIX? Not a big VIX guy. I am planning on 2022 is my year to get into more options trading. I want to start building some premium selling strategies, just because we know that the smart money sells options and the dumb money buys options generally. You're buying a decaying asset on purpose. So something that's always been interesting to me is selling that decaying asset on purpose. And option modeling and different scans with that. But, we get a pop on the VIX here. Again, it's one of those things that you don't need to, it's the same argument that I always make for you don't need to look at news, is that you don't need to look at the VIX necessarily, because what's going to happen is if the market rallies, the VIX goes down. If the market tanks tomorrow, the VIX goes up. Like they're just so related that I don't really spend too much time looking at both. I can generate what I need to see from just looking at one of them, kind of thing. So that is what we're looking at for there. So again, I am not nearly as bearish as the rest of the world is on this. I don't think there's a real warrant to be that, is kind of my summary. However, I do think that we're in kind of a wait and see mode on what happens with something as well, right? Do I exit my swings at stop out? Yes, if that's why you have a stop, right? The worst thing you can ever do is overwrite your stop based off some silly reason that you may have. But just always, that's the point of a stop. That's the area where you go, that's it, I'm out, that's enough. Now, if I'm not in them and they go past the stop point, I still may be interested in getting in them if they reclaim that point, right? So, if I'm watching a stock at $10 and I say I want to stop out, well, here's a perfect example, right? So CCXI, we never got in, and you can see that it dropped out of, right? I had an entry at 41 and a stop at 38. Well, we never got in at 41. Now it's at 36. Well, if it starts to look bullish again and goes up, then I still may take it. But if I was in at 41, then I'd be out at 38. And that's the, right? The best traders on earth are right 55 to 60% of the time. So you cannot make money in the market if you come up with any excuse for, hey, I need to change the stop, right? You gotta like religiously look at that. Shoot. One second, guys. I spilt. Do I have something to wipe it off? Yeah, I do. Extra t-shirt. Knocking shit over. I need a sippy cup for my office. Be shocked how much I do that. Come on. Just move all these things. Get out of here. More sad about wasted beer, to be honest. Just throw that mat on the floor and deal with it later. But yeah, so stops have to be set in stone, right? And again, I don't ever suggest, I don't run a signal service. Oh, jeez. That was me wiping off my keyboard. Yeah, so I don't ever suggest anyone follows my stops, but whatever you put as a stop in your written trading plan. And again, anybody, I cannot say this enough, and I know people get bored of it, but if you are trading without a written trading plan right now, you are a lazy gambler. The market will take your money, and you deserve it. Harsh, I know, but true. So yeah, for me, it's religious about if I have a stop, I take it if it gets stopped, right? So what I'm doing now is I'm just going through the list and I'm just removing anything that I think is too damaged that by the time it hit my trigger price, I would need to, it would have gone too far. So I'm just clearing out the old list, basically just destroying anything as well, right? So curve, I still like the look of this one. I'm actually just going to slap let's just put it here. I'm just going to slap an alert on this so I don't need to keep watching it, but curve's got like a 30% short float. So whatever, if it ever gets out of 20, then away we go. So even though you believe this boss was a overcorrection manipulation, yes, you always respect your stop. Always. Quickest way to go broke. You can always buy back in, right? You can always get out, and then if it goes back up, you get back in. Right? Just don't. The one thing that I see with most traders that causes the most amount of trouble and damage is overthinking. Right? You either have a written trading plan with setups in place, and you follow those setups like it's a religion. Reviewing them, putting in the work, all of that. Or, you haven't built a trading plan, you don't have setups, or you have setups and you don't follow them. And either way, in those respects, the market's going to take your money. So again, just send it to me. I'll make better use of it. McDonald's too. Wow, okay. So we don't have much left on the list here at all. I kind of gutted it there. And it's funny, a lot of the stuff that's remaining is, boom, all the bigger name stuff. So SSNC, I am in, full disclosure. I'm in from, I think 79.50-ish. Had a couple good days, couple bad days, but this from a longer term point of view looks good to me, and it held up well during that sell. FGen, never triggered, still like. CCXI, I still think if this kind of gets above 41, I'm interested. ATRA, I am in some from around 18. I like the bottoming tail. The reason I leave these on the list is if I still think they're valid entries, right? Lilly, again, another big name that held well during that, and FSR is still holding great as well. So, I like that one if we can get over 20 and hold for some respect of that. So now let's do this and into here. and start scanning. This is also when I'll look at other people's charts as well, but that's my summary of the market. Is in, in both cases, in all cases, I really think we're just in a wait and see mode, which is, leads me to the second biggest problem I see with traders is impatience, right? The very classic Warren Buffett comment of the beauty of trading or investing is that, you can sit there all day and the pitcher can throw strikes and you never have to swing. So, with me, when I look at that, I say, okay, well, let's go through and set up a list and then see if, there's something to swing at. If not, that's fine. Wow, only 2 in this one. That's interesting. Let's go down to the J-hook scan. Again, all these scans are available for StatSearch Pro members. I just can't share them because they just don't have. Let's actually just go over to another. Just trying to see. So TI Strength is already out. One of the ones that I really liked from that I'm going to put on the list here was LNG. So I wanted to add LNG to that. This was one. So TI Strength is a relative strength system, an algo that I built that's within Trade Ideas, and you can scan with that as well. More and more and more of my trading is coming from this. And the main reason is just that it's proving to work phenomenally in most markets, which again, when you're looking for relative strength, it just makes your life easier. But what I'm seeing in LNG is this kind of long extended bull flag here, right? So I think, you're talking 110. I always just do round numbers on these because again, they're not meant to be followed, but let's just say 110, 102. And this is directly stolen from the TI Strength alerts, right? And it's just because it just looks very nice. And then if we compare that to its index, right, so this is natural gas. So if we go UNG did okay on Friday, but if we look at XLE, which is the entire kind of a thing, just gap down, right? So we had a pretty bad day there for fall annotation. So yeah, we had a pretty bad day there for that. So I like the look of LNG. Just trying to see. I've got another screen over here where I'm just trying to look at these and push them over. I think I'm going to be taking a lot of names from this list. And let's just move it over so everyone can see Michael. So this will go here. So this is just a different virtual machine. I live a complicated life when it comes to computers. But yeah, so this right here is the TI Strength list. Again, any Trade Ideas member can get access to this. If you're interested in Trade Ideas, links in the description below. Those links help with the channel and feed us and all of that. So, but basically this algorithm just says, hey, what is strong? And then we can, continue to look at names that are strong so that they will continue to be strong, right? Because the only reason that technical analysis works is that, that's interesting. What do you guys do? Properties, fun. Is that trends persist longer than they should mathematically if things were random? So yeah, APRN was another one as well, but those are a little overextended. I just went through a bunch of those. Let's just go through these. And Taylor or AutoNation. Oh, that was interesting. So that was last week, I think, a TI Strength alert. So I think I'm going to add that one in as well. I like the look of that, but I lost. Where's my other? Oh, there it is. AN. So I like kind of big sell-offs like that when it comes to scanning the next day. 129 and I don't know, 120. The reason I like that is because it makes, as a relative strength trader, it makes life really easy. You could, if you wanted and you didn't have access to something like Trade Ideas or TrendSpider, which you can do a lot of kind of scanning for, I would say an easy thing to do, 129, 120, is just say, okay, let me take a list of stocks that didn't go down on Friday and look at those. And that would be an easy enough scan to look at, because anything that didn't go down on Friday has some sort of relative strength in comparison to the rest of the market, right? Because pretty much the whole market was down. So anything that you're seeing like this that is up, well, you know, it means that when people went to sell, they didn't sell these things. They sold other things instead. So what I'm looking for is just a couple names. I'm not going to fill up the list too much because, again, I really think that Monday is going to be a wait and see kind of day. I'm really looking for just a handful of really quality names. One that I think I'm going to add as well. Let me find. I was looking at this earlier. BLBY on my TrendSpider app from my phone. So you guys may remember we bought Playboy. Well, it's all still drawn out here. So 28.50 down here, right? It rose up. It wasn't an insane trade. It was a pretty good trade. I got out because of earnings. And then this happened, and now we're having this kind of nice pullback. So I think I'm just going to watch to see if we can get the same setup again in Playboy. I was talking to a guy who's big into NFTs, and he was talking about how he thinks Playboy is probably like the biggest NFT play in the world right now, and that kind of makes sense to me. But again, I don't trade off any of that. So we'll do 37. And we'll do 35. Is that going to be good enough? No, 34. And look at TSCO. I don't see a setup there. KR. Yeah, kind of. A little bit of a cup and handle type play, but neither of those are just my trading plan setup. Yeah, they all stay right, but on top of that, you know, I'm looking for actual setups that are just part of my trading plan. NPTN, so that's not a buyout or anything, is it? It's the only reason I use the new news tab ever. It's too volatile to be a buyout, so I like this one. MPTN. Oh, we already had that on the list. I just like that, you know, you have these series of lower highs going on here. Oh, I think if we break that to the upside, that will be interesting. Come here, chart. So 1550 and 15. Am I sure this isn't a buyout? Yep. No. Downgrades. Okay. No, okay. I don't see a. So like MPTN and PTN. That's just one of those that this gap obviously occurred on earnings, right? You can see the earnings little ticker right there. So anything that holds gets, again, this is why it's dumb for me to for people who focus on news, right? I don't need to know if they did this on earnings, right? There was no way to get involved until this print right there. So earnings was obviously good. Let me take a look at Pola. Yeah, that's just a stock in a downtrend. When I see things like Pola, what I see is bag holders from $26 down to $5. So every rally you're going to get, you're going to have all of these bag holders looking to sell. So I wouldn't be long this name is kind of my thing. Now, if you wanted to, I would want to see maybe a hold above this level, which is support there and resistance there, which is what, like 650? Go from there. Go EV. Looks like I was doing some algo testing on this. Stronger than Pola, still has a bunch of bag holders all the way up at 20, all the way down. Super extended from 8 to 12, so I'm not going to buy anything that's up from 8 to 12. But again, if it's part of your written trading plan, obviously negate what I said. If buying, you have a trading plan that has this pattern in it, then trade it. Right? If you don't have that with that trading plan in it, don't trade it. But for me, I just don't see anything there. And again, if you don't have a written trading plan at all, you're a gambler. It looked like sell the bounce short. Yeah, it's just, again, anything that's down that much, you have so many bag holders, right? And the bag holders I just look at, we've all been in the position of being down big on a stock and saying something like, if that stock gets to this price or my break even price, I'm out. And we know it's not right. We know that's not how we should trade, but so you got to think that everybody else has that exact same feeling of, if it ever gets back to my even price here, then I'm in. If it ever gets back to my even price here, then I'm in, and kind of go from there. But it's like, for me, I don't understand buying things that are going down when you can buy things that are going up. It's just, yes, if you can get an underdog and you get something that's tanked, then that's great. For me, if I do buy stuff, and a lot of people will know because, again, this is part of the member scan, if I ever am buying something that's hammered, it's going to be after it's made an incredibly long base and then it's breaking out of the base, right? Where it's, I'm going to wait for the market to say, okay, this thing is no longer going down. So I want to see some sort of a move that's indicative of, okay, this thing's no longer going down. Smart devices. So I think I'm going to put one more on the list here, and that'll be about it. Let's see our rounded bottom scan, see if there's anything there. So yeah, these kind of setups is, a lot of these are more or less what I would look like if I was looking to bottom fish, right? So CODX, for example, I'm not going to buy it when it's doing this, but after it's been basing for a long time, you could say maybe if CODX now gets over 10, it can go from there. And the reason for that is that eventually those bag holders kind of move on with their lives. But another thing I always want to see is that the anchored VWAP from the spike where all the bag holders are, that gets worked out, and it's not. But it's like, I would just rather, actually, let's not do that. Let's do A table 2.0. I'm trying to phase out more of the bottom picking stuff, just kind of entirely. Boom. So yeah, Playboy is on there as well. Okay. So that's one I'm really going to watch. That's showed up in a couple scans already. CHK, Chesapeake Energy. Apron does look interesting. It's just, it needs a few days. It's just gone from, not $8 to 10. So it's just shot up. What's that, like 25%? So as a trader, I just can't buy something that's just already up 25%. But if it chills out there for a few days, I'll like that. Well, that's kind of interesting. Just because of the fall out of bed and then rally. This would be more of just, if you guys like a shot in the dark kind of play. I just like the look of this thing completely fell off a cliff and looked like death and then just gapped up and now is holding. So that might actually hurt some of those people that have shortened the hole there. That's the second time I've seen OMI. I like the chart, so. Oh yeah, that's a strong name. So that'll be the last one I look at. And that'll probably be what I make the video about too. The 9% short float. It's nothing to write home about, but right, it's nearing all-time highs here. Had this gap on earnings. So again, don't need to know what they said. Earnings was obviously good. And then this nice kind of controlled pullback right here with a 9% short float. Sum that up with the shitty day that had on Friday being the market and how well this did, right? So big engulfing candle here. So that's going to be OMI. So someone asking, Robert, yes, I am, Michael. I show up in the trading room periodically. So let's say, I don't know, 43. And then wrong under 40 for sure. You want me to take a look at BRKR? BRKR. Yeah, I don't see that. I see what you're looking at. It's kind of the same type of thing. So yeah, maybe I would want a little bit more action before I took it. So it's the same kind of move. I do like when gaps reverse a lot of action like that to hurt people, but I would just want it, I always say, where's my stop going to be? Right? So if I buy this at 85, you could possibly put a stop right there, but there's not a lot of support there. So for me, my stop's got to go all the way down here. And then what are the odds I'm making 2 times that? I'd have to hold it till it's well cracking through new highs. So if that base is for a few days, I think I would like it. But so yeah, again, if you get a couple days range, maybe just as it is right now, I just don't really 83 stop. Yeah, you could again run under this candle, but that's just so far there hasn't been any indication where that is going to turn as well. So Robert's asking about the service, and that will be a good thing to send us off at. So let me just do a walk through that, and then I need to go and do the pro member blog post for all you guys. And help the wife cook supper before she whoops me. So if you're interested in what Stats Edge Pro is, just go to the website in the link description below. You can find a lot there. And it will talk about it as well. But essentially, what it is my research, right? It's not a signal service. I don't believe in signal services. I believe that anyone who tries to follow signal services are going to get their money taken from them. So I think that's all the ranting I need to do there. But here's kind of what's included. The first one just being, and the main one, the 90% of it is my analysis and watch list done on the markets each night. So let's just grab a random day. So annotated charts for what I'm looking at on the crypto space, a lot of crypto this time. Oh, and Forex space, and then equity markets. What I'm looking at the equity markets, what's going to happen for the next day. Include it with a watch list of stocks, kind of annotated to show, hey, this is what I'm interested in and why. Again, the point of it is not to follow these things kind of directly as is, but the point of them is to see what it is that I'm looking for, where I would be involved, where I would potentially put in a stop, and then to help you use that to build your own kind of setup and trading plan. And then on top of that, there is access to all my scans within Trade Ideas and TrendSpider, as well as all of the insane custom formulas that I put in them. You can build all of those in. We have a Discord chat room. Again, we're not in there saying buy this or sell this or trade that or whatever. And we're all swing traders, right? Which makes a trading chat room a little bit less active than like day trading ones. But yeah, we just talk about what we see. People will say, hey, Mike, will you take a look at this stock? And I'll take a look at that for them, that kind of thing. And then we have a member Q&A webinar, which once a month I sit down, grab a beer, chat for, as long as there are questions. And any and all questions from the Trade Ideas members can be answered. So yeah, well, it's more of my opinions and everything in the market. And the point of it, and I know some people struggle with this because they want someone to tell them how to trade, but you can't teach someone how to trade, right? You can teach it, and this may sound pretentious, but just trying to teach someone, say, hey, you trade by doing this, buying stocks that do this and sell stocks that do this. That's like trying to teach someone how to be an artist. And again, I know that sounds pretentious, but you can teach someone the basics of different kinds of arts and different kinds of color palettes and proper brushstroke and stuff like that. But you can't just say, hey, paint this way, go do it and make money, because it's all has to be a personal thing. Because if there was just a systematic do this, do this, do this, do this and make money, that kind of thing would be automated away by the market, right? If I said, hey, every time a stock comes down, hits a 200-day moving average, buy it. Then there'd be hedge funds out there that's saying, hey, all these guys are buying stocks as they hit the 200-day moving average. Buy them before that and then sell them down into their face, right? It's just kind of going to be the way that the market works, right? So what I would like to do is I like to teach about the basics. First of all, if you're looking for kind of an absolute, to get how to get started trading, I highly suggest, and I'll put a link here, this absolutely free trading course, 39 lessons of how to do technical analysis, how to do fundamental analysis, how to do statistical analysis, how to do everything. And this should get you that basic knowledge. And then from there, you go and say, okay, well, maybe I want to learn a little bit more about how Mike trades. I'll join that and watch that. And then, also have access to my research. So for less than $2 a day, I would argue that just getting a second opinion on your own research better be worth $2 a day. If that's a lot of a business expense for a trading account, I would, say, hey, you may need to check that out. You may not have enough of a trading account to make trading worthwhile, because anyone who says you get hundreds and hundreds of % return a year, you got to run from that guy. So yeah, access to my back-tested scan, Brett says as well. But yeah, it's more of just take the free course to learn all the basics, right? Because all those basics, I don't think you should be charged for, because they're everywhere online. My course is just, what do they say? There's no new lessons, just new t-shirts, right? My course is just me teaching all of these basics that you could find free and open on any website in there. Then what the member service is okay, I actually want to look over Mike's shoulder for a while and watch him trade, and then hopefully use that to build my own trading plan and do all that. And again, anytime you want to ask a question, yeah, we've got a Discord room, so you can come in and say, hey, Mike, what do you think of this? Or, I was thinking of doing that. What do you think? And we chat there as well. And then the member Q&A, where again, I see Usman there. You said, can you talk about RSI? That's something, again, I got to take off here in a second, but that's something I've just adding as we speak to the notes for the member webinar. I'll just talk about RSI and how I use it and how I hate indicators. So everyone gets ready for an indicator rant. And I see Brett also and my rants. And then every now and then something comes up where it's a unique learning opportunity in the market. And that's, again, I can use the room for, as well as my thoughts on the market there as well. So that is Stats Edge Trading Pro, and that is $50 a month. So less than $2 a day, which I think is an insanely reasonable price. And that's what it is. So again, if you're looking for someone to kind of take your hand and teach you how to trade, I would argue you should do the free trading course for that before even thinking about spending a dime. Plus, I don't think, and this, I guess, leads to another rant about how I learned to trade, which was kind of the same way. And that's why I built the service the way I did, is when I started trading at a prop firm, no one can come in and say, okay, you sit down and you buy stocks that do this and you sell stocks that do that. Again, it just doesn't work that way. It's like, again, use the art analogy, or even say a fighter. Yeah, you do a jab and then a right hook and then an uppercut, and that's how you fight. And if someone ever says that, then what will happen is everyone will know that's what you're doing, then they'll counter it. And it's no different from the market. If there was a very easy, systematic way just to trade the entire market, that gets diluted just by more people doing it. So how I learned to trade at the prop firm was, here was the intro course that they had that taught all these kind of basics of supply and demand and charts or whatever. And then they sat you next to a pro trader. So you could say things like, okay, why did you do that? Or, hey, I'm looking at this chart. What do you think about it? Things like that, where they're not saying this is how you trade. But if I said, hey, why did you do that? The guy could say, oh, did you see this hammer candle here? That represented this to me, or I saw this on the level 2, or, whatever it was. That's how I learned to trade. So that's more or less kind of the easiest way I can say about this, is that you get my analysis each and every night. And then at the same time so it's kind of like a virtual version of sitting over my shoulder. And then it also shows you the amount of work that's required. Because if you're not doing analysis of the markets every single night and combining that with a watch list that you're making yourself every single night, if you're not doing those things, then that's going to be, of course, problematic for you, because it just means you're not putting in the work as well. So then again, I hope you come there. And, if someone came by and they said, listen, I spent a couple months looking over your shoulder and I used that to build my own plan and I'm out now, that would make me very happy. Most people, I think the guys that are sticking around now are sticking around because, they probably still feel they may have something to learn from me. But at the same time, it's kind of a little community in and of itself. And we start to think the same way, right? And then, at the same time, I am doing some specific Stats Edge Pro algorithms, but they will be algorithms that are meant to have discretion on top of them. So at the end the end of every day, I send over a handful of symbols where these are algorithms that I'm working on that are right now exclusive to Stats Edge Trading only. And they get access to those as well, right? But again, nothing is meant to be just, hey, I'm going to just blindly take this trade, because I don't think that better serves you, right? You know, if I always look at it too is, why would you want to follow me? What if I get hit by a bus tomorrow? Or what if I just go absolutely insane and I come into the room one day just ranting about like flat earth, you know, interdimensional lizard monsters or something? You wouldn't want any part of your livelihood attached to that. You'd go, okay, Mike lost it. Now, at least I learned everything I've learned, and I have my trading plan. I've got my style, and I can just, you know, walk away from the flat earther and be fine, right? So, you know, it always makes sense to learn for yourself. But that being said, can I do a video about the island bottom pattern? Island reversal? Yeah, I can. I don't really know what would be too much about it. It's basically just, geez, yeah, good luck finding an island reversal just staring at a chart. It's a pretty rare pattern. But it's just like, you know, stocks moving down, and then it gaps down, and then it puts in a couple days, gap down, and then it gaps back up, starts moving up. I don't know. Again, if it's something that you built a written testing, trading, and plan around for, yeah. I kind of like that you have a clear entry with an island reversal, and you have a clear stop with an island reversal. But again, it's just nothing that's super interesting to me, but I could do something with that for sure. Anyway, guys, I am going to take off. Ran a little bit over. I want to get this stuff done by the end of today. I built my trading off the community. It's tightened up my trading for sure. Oh, I love to hear it. Love to hear it. So again, thank you all for coming out. If I could ask one favor and people could hit the like button on the way out, that helps the YouTube algorithm and all of that. You know, follow me on Twitter. Just Google Michael Noss CMT. You'll find Twitter, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff for me. My 2022 goals is to do way more of this kind of stuff, way more streaming, way more videos, all of that type of thing. And I appreciate that as well. So again, thanks everyone for coming. Enjoy your Sunday night, and trade safe. Watch tomorrow. Don't be reactive tomorrow, right? We'll find out by the end of today whether or not that was a real sell-off, or whether or not it was kind of a low volume. People got scared, right? So everyone be calm, everyone be chill, and everyone hit the like button. I'll talk to you later.